So Wayne Button, our book reviewer, is here to give us a review on what he's reading. It's Johnathon Livingston's Seagull. Remember that book from the 1970s? He picked it up to read because Kobe Bryant said it was one of his favorite books. He's here to tell us all about it. Good morning, Wayne.
Good morning, Janice. How you doing?
I'm not too bad. Now, I've heard of the book, but what exactly is the storyline?
So basically what it's about is a seagull who lives amongst a flock of other seagulls, mostly by the ocean and on the beach. But those seagulls pretty much, live just to survive. They don't fly very much. They only try to eat and scavenge for food. And Johnathon Livingston is a seagull that wants to be more than that. He really wants to strive for perfection with his flying. So he practices flying as fast as he can and diving and barreling and sparring and just getting better at it. Eventually, the other seagulls find out what he's up to, and he gets banned from the flock. And then from there, he travels almost kind of like a spiritual journey where he learns to master the art of flying, eventually learns to even teach other people, and eventually returns to the flock to teach them about, his journey in flying as well.
Now, Wayne, it's a smaller book. It's only 90 pages. Is it appropriate for young people and teens?
Well, that's the thing. It's been debated on whether or not it's meant for adults or children. I think originally it was really meant for adults because it was originally published as short stories in a flying magazine. But some people do believe it's appropriate for children. And, I don't have kids. The whole time I'm reading it, I'm thinking, is this something I could read to a child? And I think depending on the maturity level of the child and depending on what the parent would like to discuss with the child, I think you could read it to a kid. Because it does touch on some things that maybe you want to have conversations with your child. It could be really good for bullying or stuff like that. It does talk about heaven. So, parents got to consider that, whether or not they want to, touch on those religious undertone type of discussions with your kid. But I think the appropriate kid could definitely have it read to them.
Now, Johnathon Livingston's Seagull was a hit in the 1970s. It was made into a movie, and Neil Diamond did a Grammy award-winning album about it. Does it hold up in this day and age?
I'm not really sure. It's hard for me to make that stance because I get it's all about the message. I get why Kobe Bryant liked it so much because it's all about striving for perfection and stuff like that. So it really depends on the audience. Someone could pick it up and they could be really motivated by it. And then someone could pick it up and they could find that it's more religious undertone and preachy and not like it. So it's really depending on the audience, to be honest with you, on whether or not this is something readers will like.
How did you get your hands on this book?
I just ordered it online. Like I said, I found out Kobe Bryant, it was his favorite book, and there's multiple different versions of it online. In fact, in 2014, the author, he went on to publish a fourth area of the book and have an extended version. I never read that, but apparently in 2014, that's what he did. He added to the book. So there's many variations out there, different illustrations and stuff. So I just ordered the basic hard copy online.
And are you going to be passing it on to someone else?
Yeah, if parents want it, sure, I will tell them to kind of read it first, because I don't want them to be halfway through a story and then their kid asks, hey, what's heaven? And then they're in this big parental discussion they weren't planning on at bedtime. So I'll tell them to read it first to see if it's something they want to touch on. But it's totally good if let's say you have a kid that's bullied or, deemed as different in some way and maybe something like that. It'd be great for parents to read to start that discussion with their kid.
Well, it sounds like a great book. I, as I said, heard of it, never read it, so perhaps I'll have to get a copy or borrow it from you someday.
Yeah, not a problem, Janice. Anytime.
Thanks so much, Wayne.
Thank you much, Janice.
Wayne Button read a well-known book this week, Johnathon Livingston's Seagull, which was written by Richard Bach and illustrated by Russell Munson. And Kobe Bryant said it was his favorite book.
Did we do anything after this? Funny feeling we did.
We were watching TV. watching TV. We were watching TV. Watching TV.
Wayne Walsh is our TV watcher, and he's also deep in the basketball court this week. He's been watching The Last Dance, the controversial Michael Jordan doc series on Netflix. Good morning, Wayne.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm not too bad. Why is Last Dance so controversial?
The Last Dance is just controversial in a way that you just see behind professional athletes and what it actually takes to be as great as what they were. Michael Jordan has a reputation of being a tough captain of the team, and the show actually puts everything out there for everybody to see with no holds barred.
Are you a fan of Jordan?
Yeah, well, growing up as we did in the 90s for the most part of our life, even in Labrador City, we had a Chicago TV channel, and I can remember watching unbelievable moments and all the shows used to be carried. And at the time, it was just taking the world by storm. I don't think there's anyone in the world who don't know who Michael Jordan is, and to have a up-close and personal look at the man, the myth, the legend, as this show puts out there is quite an eye-opener and very entertaining.
Wayne, is this show a balanced portrayal of Jordan?
Yeah, surprisingly, for something that comes out on this man's legacy, they put in the good with the bad, from the incidents from when he started in high school and never made the team, right on up till he won his third championship, took a break, played a bit of baseball, surprisingly, and he did okay at that. And then to come back and play basketball again for another 3-peat is just unbelievable to see.
Would you recommend it to non-basketball fans?
That I definitely would. The basketball is pretty good to watch, but the actual behind the scenes is what this is more focused on. And to see what a professional athlete would do to be as great as what Jordan was, it was a lifestyle he lived. It was 24/7. He would be so into the games that nothing was ever taken softly. He believed that every time someone came to see Jordan, they paid good money to see Jordan, and they should see the best of Jordan.
Now, you've also got a TV series to recommend that your kids are really into these days.
Yeah, so for a lot of us who are stuck at home and working from home, one of the biggest thing we're trying to balance is screen time and trying to keep them off the TVs. But being busy at work, you want to find something that your kids will enjoy to watch, and you want to make sure that it's something that hopefully develops something in them. I know there's a lot of mindless TV out there and we'll keep them busy, but the show where my kids are absolutely obsessed with is called Wild Kratts. It's a show that came out in 2010 on PBS. It's a great show. It's mostly about animals, or it's all about animals, but these two zoologists, brothers, they end up starting off and showing what the animals really look like. Then they move on to when they turn into an animated character where they can get the creature's power. And it's just an educational show that kids get to learn more animals, go around the world and see what special features these animals have and try and make them more understood.
Well, it sounds like a very interesting show, and I'm sure lots of parents, if they haven't already checked it out, will probably be doing so. So thanks so much for telling us about this.
Oh, you're welcome.
And that was Wayne Walsh, and he, of course, is our TV reviewer, and his recommendations today are The Last Dance and The Wild Kratts.
Well, the Atlantic bubble